I did this for UFC 317. I did an Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira breakdown, just specifically that fight in general because it's such a compelling matchup. And I wanted to do the same here because there's so many little things that kind of intertwine into why it is that I'm going to take who I'm going to take, what makes it so interesting, the story behind it, all that. In that video, it got flagged at one point because I used too much film from past fights. So I'm going to try and keep it low key on the film. If you guys do have a good enough attention span to just watch me talk, that would be great. But I will include some clips just so you guys can see what I am talking about. So yeah, let's just get into this. I'll start with the strengths for both of these guys. The first for JDM is obviously the boxing. He's probably one of the two best boxers in the UFC. I would probably say it's him and Ilia up at the top. Not just the boxing as a whole, but especially on the inside. In every single one of JDM's fights, he throws so many good combinations on the inside, and it's not necessarily headhunting. He throws to the body, and he puts hands on everybody he fights, especially when they get backed up toward the fence. And he lands nice counter shots when they push him back up against the fence. We saw there's a nice combination he landed against Belal Muhammad in his last fight. He throws a right hand, pings it. Belal goes to counter. JDM steps out of the way southpaw and bangs a left hand after that. Stuff like that, it's just, you can't really, like, it's just instincts that he has in the boxing. It's incredible to watch. And as far as the grappling goes with him, his ability to get back to his feet and not accept position, as we saw against Belal Muhammad, was incredible. And it has been. He did that against Basel Lafez, who, you know, looking back, it's like, damn, Basel Lafez sucked. But then you look and you see that the guy wasn't drug tested, and he goes 3 hard rounds and doesn't slow down, just shooting takedown after takedown after takedown. Wasn't drug tested, and then after that goes into the drug testing pool and all of a sudden can't make it past 5 minutes and gets just incredibly tired right away. If you guys are catching what I'm putting down. The guy was on steroids, I assume, or PEDs of some sort. Another strength that JDM has is the Australian camp, especially with Craig Jones. Craig Jones has kind of laid the blueprint for how it is that you can kind of limit the Dagestanis and getting to what it is that they want to do, especially once you do get to the ground. Craig Jones is just a master of working that out. We saw with Volk. Volk in his first fight with Islam was incredible. He did a great job on the ground of limiting submission attempts, being able to get back to his feet, using the fence as like a strength to get back to his feet, things like that. So Craig Jones did a very good job of teaching Volk that. And Volk also has input that he can give to JDM, being in there with him for 2 fights or 1.5, I guess you could say.
I should get some sleep.
As well as, obviously, JDM fighting someone from the Khabib camp in Belal Muhammad in his last fight is also a strength. Obviously, I wouldn't say that Belal is on the level as Islam. It's not even close, but it is still from the same camp. And the last thing I wanted to point out for JDM is his head movement is just so good. And he uses his head movement not just necessarily to just move his head all over the place, because sometimes at face value, that can be just what it looks like. But he uses his length so well, and he's able to gauge distance and switch his head off the center line as he throws, or just simply just to duck out of the way, as we've seen Ilia does very well. Also, his head movement is just so good, and he's able to, and he knows in using his head movement when he can hit you back, when he can't hit you back, when he should go to exchange, when he shouldn't, things like that are he's super sharp at that. Now, the strengths that Islam has are kind of the opposite of that. People look at the Dagestanis and go, why are they so good at wrestling? What's going on? Like, these Dagestanis just came out of nowhere and they're just taking everybody down, ragdolling people. The difference between Dagestani wrestlers and other wrestlers is, and we've seen actually Merab Dvalishvili do this very well as of recently, is they don't just shoot, fail the shot, and then just like ride you up against the fence with their head between your legs and just hold on and try to lock their hands or tire you out. They don't do that. They chain from one thing to the other. So if they shoot and they're not in on it, they'll go to the high crotch and get the cable grip, pick you up, throw you. We saw Belal Muhammad do that very well against Leon Edwards when he spiked him on his head. It's the chain wrestling. It's not just one shot. It's one shot, chain to another shot, chain to another shot. And Islam does that better than any of the people in that gym. To go along with that, the reason that Islam's striking is so sharp, or one of the reasons at least, opponents need to drop their hands when they get into close quarters with Islam, especially when they're throwing on the inside in the pocket. They have to drop their hands because of the takedown threat, which leads to the openings on the feet. Like, you see it all the time that Islam will wing hooks in the pocket, and you see guys' hands dropped and they get clipped. That happened with Volk in the first round of the first fight. In the back of their mind, there is that worry that he can just shoot and get a takedown, and if he gets his hands on you, it's kind of over with from there. And another good part from Islam's striking is the body kicks. I was saying this in the build-up to both of the Volk fights. When it is an open stance, Islam being southpaw, if he's fighting someone who's orthodox, he can just wing that body kick right in there. It's there for the taking, and he takes those opportunities very well. And it's not that he is able to just land the body kick at will, it's that he gets you thinking about that, and then he's able to land the high kicks like we saw against Volk, or he can even just slap a low kick in there, and then it's like, okay, well, now I don't know where the hell he's going. And his body kick is snappy, and it's very powerful as well. So that's another strength that Islam has that's just super, super sharp. And then obviously, I don't need to point this out, but the submission ability is off the charts. The guy has probably the best Darce that I have ever seen. It's never rushed. It's never kind of in, kind of not. If you want to look back at a recent one against Dustin Poirier, once it was in, it was like immediately I'm looking and I'm like, oh, he's got the Darce. Oh, wow. Poirier's head is about to pop clean off. His squeeze is just not normal. That's obviously there. And especially early on in the fight, the submission ability is going to be even higher because they're dry, they're fresh. Islam has put on weight just for this fight. He's going to be a lot stronger than usual, not as drained. He's going to have that strength early on, and the submission ability at that time is going to be a danger. Now I want to get into kind of the weaknesses that either of these guys have. So first of all, for JDM, he can get taken down pretty easily. Maybe not easily, but easier than some of these other guys at 170, which is a little bit worrisome that maybe he does just get taken down at will, over and over and over and over. On the flip side of that, on the feet, the only worry that I really have about JDM in his stand-up game is that he's kind of injury prone. We've seen it in the past that he's had his arm snap in half from a body kick. He's broken hands before, blocking stuff, throwing stuff. So that does worry me a little bit that he kind of has a history of getting injured quite frequently. And another thing that I want to add is he can be overwhelmed against the fence. And we saw that against Bilal. Bilal was able to land some pretty good shots when he would just unload in combination when JDM got his back to the fence, and Bilal did a very good job of cutting the cage off, stepping in front, landing good shots. But I don't think that that's necessarily going to be a problem here because of the Dagestanis, Islam is kind of the most patient and he's the smartest. He's not like Bilal, where Bilal gets hit and then all of a sudden he just has to go and run at you and throw a punch because he got hit. Islam will take the punch and take note of it and calm down. We work from there. We don't just freak out. So I don't necessarily think that Islam's going to be able to cut the cage off and throw in combination like Bilal did and land big shots. I don't think that's going to really be an issue for JDM, but I have seen that where he gets his back to the fence and guys will land 2, 3, 4 punches clean at a time. For Islam, the worries that I have for him, for one, the boxing on the inside does worry me because for one, it's very predictable. You see, once he gets on the inside and once they start exchanging and both guys kind of make this agreement where it's like, all right, here we are, we're in close, let's throw 4 shots at each other each. He only really throws hooks and they're all up high. He doesn't really go low. He doesn't throw jabs to the body. He doesn't throw 2 to the body. It's all just kind of 3-4, 3-4, 3-4. That's all it really is. Which against JDM, if you're going to be that predictable at the best thing that JDM has, that's kind of a recipe for disaster if you do put yourself into that scenario. So that's one of the things that I've noticed with Islam. Another thing is the worry of his gas tank. And I saw it against Poirier and we saw it against Volk in the first fight. If Islam gets to the later rounds with you, he starts to get outpaced. Guys are able to ping a jab on him. They're able to land low kicks. He gets split open. And that leads me to my next point is that he is hittable. Of all the Dagestanis, it seems that he has the most most scar tissue out of everybody. You know, I mean, he's gotten split open here before. He's had a puffy eye, bloody all over his face before. He's hittable, and he does get tired, and he can get outpaced, especially on the feet. So that is one of the worries that I have with Islam. With all that being said, I will give my prediction for this specific fight. But before I do, I will say my prediction video for this card will be out on Thursday. So check that out if you do want to see my full card predictions. That will be out on Thursday. So like and subscribe if you want to stick around for that. But yes, my prediction for this, I have a 4th round TKO for JDM. There is obviously the threat of Islam getting a submission early on. And if he does, it will be one of the most impressive things I have ever seen if he just makes quick work of JDM. We're going to start having some seriously uncomfortable conversations of him and the GOAT conversation if he just makes quick work of JDM. So obviously that's a threat early on. As I just said, for one, the gas tank does worry me for Islam. He's not going to be able to keep it up on the feet, and he's going to be getting his bell rung. And if they do get on the inside, he's too predictable, I think, and he's going to be winging one of those hooks. And the only way that he's been knocked out in the past is by throwing one of those predictable shots, and the guy just stepped off and banged an overhand. People look back at that knockout though, and they say, oh, well, he's grown so much since then. You know, obviously he's a better fighter. Yes, of course, he has grown a lot since then. But you can see actually in his recent fights, he has that same issue where he throws these kind of lazy and predictable combinations when his opposition gets on the inside. You see what's coming. And with JDM, with his head movement and his length and his ability to really, I mean, just literally just crack you like in 3, 4, 5 punches at a time. I think he's going to be able to find that later on, especially with him not accepting the positions on the ground. With him scrambling so much and always getting back to his feet and using the fence to be able to get up and never quitting on himself like we saw in round 5 against Bilal. There was around 3.5 minutes left in the 5th round when Bilal got him down and was in half guard. And everyone was thinking, myself included, here goes the 5th round. I mean, he's not getting up from that. Bilal's in top half guard. He's just going to hold him down, pitter-patter him to the body, and that'll probably be the fight right there. And JDM did not accept that. As tired and as grueling of a fight that was, he didn't accept the position at all. And immediately got back up, and not just to get back up, but to pressure and put a pace on Bilal, who is known to be the one to put a pace on other guys. That says something to me. And if Islam gets taken to the later rounds, I think he's going to get TKO'd. With him being so predictable, at least on the inside. I'm not saying, obviously, I don't want this to come off as like a Islam's so easy to read, guys, right? Like, I mean, look at this guy. He's terrible. No, Islam is an incredible fighter. He's sharp on the feet. I get it. But I think that JDM's too much of this tactician, especially when it comes to close quarters. So I think JDM is going to win this. I think he's going to win by 4th round TKO. With Islam moving up, I don't think that's going to be doing him any favors, especially with his gas tank. I mean, he's slowed down at 155 before. He's had guys put a pace on him before. He's been split open. And him putting more weight on against the natural 170 pounder who's shown that he's not going to quit for a full 25 minutes. For me, I think I'm going to go JDM here. I'm not the most confident about it because of the submission ability that lies early, but I do think JDM gets this done by TKO. And if Islam gets it done, I mean, what can you say, you know? I mean, the guy's once in a lifetime type of talent. He already is, but I mean, that just furthers that. Let me know what you guys think. I did this for the UFC 317 card. Let me know if you guys want me to keep doing this kind of thing. I've watched a lot of film. I've watched a lot of other people's takes on this. Anyways, if you did enjoy, like and subscribe per usual. I got videos coming out all the time. I have a UFC 322 iceberg video that will come out on Wednesday, and I got my prediction video coming out on Friday. Stay tuned for that, but until then, I'm out. Peace.